Okay. I think there's a lot of like these being in e-commerce. I mean, the speed of the retail is a lot faster. You are just because of the consumers, they are facing with new ways to explore products and things they want to buy. So the the new technology, I won't say disruptive per se, will be like last year is more about video streaming. Like people will buy product from video streaming. And in terms of last mile logistics, I think the impact is more on still at the courier level, where they how to use the big data to optimize to be better their processes. But I think the next step is going to be different. The next step is going to be where the millennials and the younger consumers, they're very savvy on the cell phone. They expose their locations on where they are. They are more accustomed to how they choose the delivery expectation for what they wanted to have. So the customers, I mean the couriers and the retailers need to adjust to that trend. I mean, because earlier, I mean, in the old way, the traditional way is that we ship the product to you, you receive it. We tell you when you receive, right? So gradually, it's starting to the consumer make requests on when they want to receive it, in terms of like maybe marking on a delivery preference online, or maybe to call the couriers demanding certain time to be delivered. But I think going forward, it's going to be different. It's going to be some sort of the technology and the data will tell what's the best place for them to meet. And the courier should go where the package should be delivered to what drop box or locations or retail store, and the customer will happen to be just be there, right? That's going to be a very different way to make that last mile connections than before. Now, another very disruptive technology will be augmented realities or VR, ARs, right? Well, two ways, right? One is how the customers interact with the product itself. Much like before, it's more like just the pictures and the descriptions, then it's the videos, but now it's going to be different, right? Now, in the far-fetched futures, we can imagine 3D printing, maybe, right? That you're no longer buying a physical product that needs to ship from A to B. You're printing it right there and get it. Now, in a way, Amazon, when I used to work with Amazon, so we do printing on demand. So we print books when you get it. And it's not very popular because at the end of the day, then electronic books replace that requirements. But going forward, will we ever get to a place where we don't, just like how we don't need mails anymore, we'll be receiving emails, receiving fax, right? It's totally going to be a new way of buying stuff. Well, last mile fulfillment is really a big component of the retail transaction cost. It's an integral part of the shopping experience, right? So what you mentioned earlier is more from the consumer itself, what their mindset is. But I'll pose it differently. Is that it's not what their mindset is on how they work with technology and expect their delivery. It's more on that how do the company use the data that's now available to them to make the process more seamless. As I mentioned before, right, logistic companies are by definition very archaic. It's very slow because they have to drive optimizations and low costs and with big investments. Now we need to change that mindset. We need to change it such that it needs to be flexible and nimble. Now we have all these data, as I mentioned earlier, that you have the customers actually willing to expose their schedules or their preference to you. Now how do you make that, absorb that to fulfill their needs, at the same time lower your costs? Because imagine this, if you know the consumers, they're not going to be at home that day, or you know they're on the go, and there happens to be very close to your delivery stations, maybe you can intercept them at a place where you will be making a 100-meter delivery versus a 2 kilometers delivery. I mean, it's a game changers that way, right? So it's now processing all those data, and that requires lots of computing powers. And I don't think, I'm not talking about tomorrow we're going to have that, but I think the mindset needs to change from what does the meeting the consumer's needs, but also converting into how do we make the logistics delivery more nimble and more using the technology and the data that's given to us now. Well, I think for the leaders, I mean, there's many types of leaders. Some are thought leaders, like to think boldly, things that doesn't exist now, right? That imagine the futures, and all those things need to cater back to what does the human natures, what the human race wants. I mean, and then that may drive some really great insights, things that nobody have thought of, right? Any type of leader is more implementational, right? Getting that done, motivating the team to get it happens, right? So I think there's really two versions of leaders.
Do you have a role model?
Well, I take a cue usually from a mix of peoples. You have people like I used to work for Jeff Bezos' team. I mean, at Amazon, and he's very, inspirational in terms of what he wants. And of course, in China, everybody talk about Jack Ma. Like talk about like how he make he believes, he insists, and he stays, right? So a lot of those now, are you saying that one character trump the others? I think there's different situation and different path for everybody's cause for different type of qualities. For personally, I like to interact, right? So, like for example, talking to you and having to answer those questions make me start thinking, right? And for example, I have a team. Usually, a lot younger in China. You have a young teams, and they have different perspectives. I've not thought about. Go to a new country, met with new people, and think about talking, understanding where they come from, what their point of view come from. Sometimes having those observations, and then thinking through it, come up with new thoughts. Interesting because both of my alma mater, MIT and University of Texas at Austin, they all have slogans similar to changing the world. And that really have an impact on me. And what I try to do is to do something of values. I want to do something that I can actually, I'm more implementational type of leaders, try to make changes, try to fix things, try to solve problems. And it really bugs me when things are not optimized. It really bugs me that some people are left behind. So I wanted to do those things to change it better for the world. And it's very enjoyable. I think for like the e-commerce, I think just like what Jack Ma is talking about, the new retail, that's the buzzword. Or it's actually omni-channel that the Western world are more used to. I mean, at the end of the day, there's no more e-commerce, online, offline. It's just retail. Until we invented a way where we 3D print everything, there's going to be a retail that has involved physical transportation of the actual product. Now, and people, how they expose to the product is going to be different. It used to be just walking to the store, then you get to a website, but then now it's mobile phone. It's a different way of exploring that product and meeting the needs of the consumers or driving the demands of the customers. So I think for B2Cs, there's going to be a lot of enabler. There's still a lot of solutions or problems that need to be fixed by great solutions. So I don't think it is a particular B2B or B2C per se. It really also depending on the categories. Some are more need to be B2B oriented just because of the economics of how to deliver that propositions. Some are more B2C oriented that may skip the traditional distributor retailer model going from manufacturer to consumer directly just because it requires less education, it is maybe a more long tail solution. So it really depends on the category and the product.